Hey guys, this is Chris and welcome back to another edition of Hacking IELTS. In this edition, we're going to be looking at footage of an interview conducted once again with Charles here in Dubai. We'll see how he handled this speaking exam and what tips he can pass on to you guys. For most people, they would probably argue that this is the easiest part of the exam. What about you?
It was the easiest, yes. And I did listen to some materials on it, like how to possible questions basically, and I just went with it.
So this is one of the things that I think a lot of test takers do, and they just kind of waltz into the exam and they wing it. And I'm sure you got a great score because you are fluent, but I would strongly advise test takers to have a strategy and understand like the three sections of the exam. So there's parts 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And then realize for part 2, the long turn, that you've got that 1 minute to prepare, to formulate. Did you do that? Did you take the full 1 minute for the long turn and write down as much as you could before speaking on the given topic, the prompt?
No. No, I didn't, but I do remember the examiner sitting, across from me, and she was like, I'm going to give you this time to prepare.
Right.
Here's your piece of paper. You can write as much things as you want to write. And I just sat down and thought, what is she going to say that I wouldn't be able to answer? So it was, luckily for me, maybe it was just lucky that I got a question that had to do with engineering, and
Really?
it was about solar energy and what are the advantages and disadvantages, and I just went bang. I just went into it, and it was a very interesting topic for me, especially being in the engineering field and specifically in the energy industry. I found 100 things to talk about, so I think she had to stop me.
Okay. And moving from the long turn into section 3, which is really the dialogue, did you find that they were very related? They're kind of connected?
Yes, yes, they're very connected. It didn't feel like, oh, you're just, moving from one section to another. It just felt very, very natural in the structure.
Did it feel at all that it was kind of scripted with the examiner, like reading off questions, or did the examiner also introduce some of her own questions?
No, it was scripted for the most part, from what I
Okay.
remember.
And one thing I wanted to ask you as well was when you came into the room, what was the process when you walked into the room?
You walk in, then nothing is being recorded. You sit down, you greet her or him, and that, in my experience, so I greeted her, and then she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna turn on the recording." She notified me that she was gonna turn on the recording and that she's gonna ask me a few questions, and she's gonna make sure that everything is captured. I want to believe that's the structure of the exams.
Right. So regarding the speaking, would you have done anything differently in terms of preparing for it?
In hindsight, I I think I probably could have looked at a lot of questions, a lot of possible questions that could have come. Especially starting into it, like the first section. I think there's a pattern. I think the very first is usually, asking you about yourself,
Yeah.
about your hometown, about how you grew, about where you live, where you live currently.
Introductory
Like an
questions,
introductory
pretty
question.
basic,
Yes.
just to kind of put the candidates at ease.
Right. So maybe I could have practiced that a little bit more, because I think there was a time that I almost was kind of repeating myself.
And regarding the long term, part 2, did you look at any sample questions before you went into the exam so that you could practice?
No, but I wish I did. I wish I did.
Yeah.
I think I was being really lucky that the question was related to my field, but
Right.
I'm just wondering, maybe the question has come from some kind of social sciences or history or something that I wasn't really
Well,
prepared for.
normally it'll be something that's general, related to society,
Okay.
something of a social nature,
Mm.
so that it's more inclusive. But there could be people who just draw a blank and they're not prepared at all. So it's really good to look at a few different types of possibilities, look
Hmm.
at samples, and just kind of get that experience. And then really like time yourself or
Hmm.
work with somebody else where you guys can practice and make sure that you can speak for at least 1 minute. Typically, 2 minutes is ideal.
Hmm.
It's not easy to talk on a given topic
No,
for 2 minutes
no,
straight
no.
without relying on crutches. A lot of us, we rely on or
True.
or one kind of particular crutch could be using the word so, so,
Yeah,
so,
to kind of buy time.
like, I mean.
Yeah.
And you won't really know that you're doing it. You won't catch yourself doing it unless you record it or you're practicing with someone and they say, you're always saying this word, that you're always relying on it. Or did you know that you're using um a lot of the time? And we don't know. It's just something that you won't really understand until you're in that position and someone can point it out for you.
I fully agree with you, Chris. And the reason I say that emphatically is because I've been there. I can tell that if I had practiced more, looked at more sample questions, spent more time working on just preparing for the exam, preparing each section, question types, and just looking at the different ways that the questions could come, I am sure I would have done a lot better than I did. And this is what I would encourage.
So, looking back now, then how would you have prepared differently for the entire exam?
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't have done it within a week of booking for the exams. I would have taken at least 3 to 4 weeks and putting in somewhere around 2 hours every day. Because at the end of the day, you want the best. If you're preparing for an exam, then why not do it well? So I
Right.
just yeah, I went in thinking, you know what, I can do this. I guess I was a little bit too confident, and there are a lot of people that do exams that way and still do well. Like in my
Yeah.
case, I was lucky. I got some good questions. I did pretty well and overall in the exams. But I would strongly recommend that if you really want to go for a 9 or an 8.5 across all the sections, you need to put in more time.
Absolutely. I mean, even native speakers, if they don't give the examiners what they want,
Right.
they don't satisfy the questions, then it really doesn't matter how well you know the language. You need
No,
to know the exam and the structure and the techniques, strategies in
that's
order
right.
to succeed and do your best on it. Okay, any last advice you'd like to leave for candidates who are thinking of taking the exam?
Well, I would say just believe you can do it. I think it starts there. Just make sure you prepare very, very hard for it. Some people will say, "Oh, it's English. It's English language. It's going to be easy."
Yeah,
But you'll be amazed when you walk in there and you're not very prepared. It could kick you. So I would say put in your time. Like Chris has said, it's about structure. It's about structure, like you've mentioned rightly.
yeah.
Structure, strategies. So look at a lot of practice questions. Make sure you're ready. You're confident on the day of the exam. Not overconfident, but confident.
Thanks for being on the show. I
Thanks,
really
Chris.
appreciate you being here and giving your experience for people who haven't taken the exam.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I hope this was helpful and that you learned something from what Charles had to say about his speaking exam. Don't forget to visit our courses online at hackingielts.com. We also have our exam guide available on Amazon and Apple Books. Take care, guys, and catch you in the next one.